No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. We're going all the way so you can score more for your trade-in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV today. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Let's go, Jay. As Spencer Danielson would say, it's Friday. Let's bring some juice. Let's get this thing going today. We got a fun, jam-packed, full show today. It's Friday. We got basketball, football, soccer, all kinds of stuff to talk about, and I'm fired up, Jay. Let's go. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Yep. The crossover season here is on many levels, I guess you could say. Men's basketball, women's basketball, soccer still crushing it at Boise State, and then that football team on the blue is doing pretty good right now too.
I looked up at one point when there was about a minute and 30 seconds left on the timer, and you and I both were kind of just sitting there rubbing our eyes, looking tired, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go. It's Friday. The editing, all the stuff we can get to later today. Let's go. It's going to be a fun 2 months. We got to bring some juice, as they say. And yes, football team will be the highlight of the conversation today. But we're going to talk some basketball. We're going to talk a little bit of some other sports going on as well. Jim Thomas, the head women's soccer coach, going to join us at 9:30. They're in the championship game tomorrow of the Mountain West tournament, one game away from making it to the NCAA tournament. And going to talk a little women's basketball as well. Abby Muse going to join us for a couple minutes to preview their big game against Colorado on Sunday. And then we'll say goodbye to Jay Tust, and Brad Bedell will tap in for a little bit. His weekly appearance we couldn't do on Wednesday, so he's going to come at 10 o'clock and chat for a few minutes and get set. Brad Bedell and Kent Riddle are down at the TCU game. Kent Riddle's daughter is a freshman at TCU this year. I don't think I'm saying too much, but they're at the family weekend, I guess, and Brad Bedell tagged along. So they're going to the TCU game to check out with Andy Avalos and see what's going on there. So they are unavailable for pre- and post-game shows tomorrow. So we have some other things in the works. I will tell you about that later in the show, but Brad going to jump on this morning and give a little thought on the game tonight. But yeah, football and men's basketball primarily today, but other stuff going on. And it is, Jay, it's a little cold. Just got the kids pushed out the door to the carpool for the bus, and you're standing out there in the driveway, and it's getting a little chilly now, the frost. Yeah. It's a little harder to, know what we still got coming with some of the editing and stories and things, and a game tomorrow night, but 2 games tomorrow night when you throw in basketball. But it is that time of year where probably for the players and coaches too, where you can see what the potential outcome is. You can see what the potential goal is if things keep moving in the right direction. So it's a exciting time, and that's why I'm fired up today. It's much more fun covering a team like this than maybe waking up in Reno or something covering that team right now.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, don't forget high school playoffs continue for football tonight too. So there's plenty going on this evening. But yeah, you're exactly right. And I asked about it a couple of times last week, BJ. I mean, 1 year ago, this is the week where it all felt like it was falling apart and the sky was falling, and that you wondered about Boise State football ever being what it once was again. And man, Jeremiah Dickey went out, put the right interim head coach in charge, and then hired that dude. Now they're, 7-1 and on the cusp of making the college football playoff and playing some really good football. It also doesn't feel like we've even seen them at their best necessarily. I think they're getting there for sure, but yeah, just excited about this team. And then on top of that, man, we're sitting there, watching the Boise State men's basketball game the other night. I really try to be careful not to overhype things. But prior to the season for football, I was like, run wild with your expectations about Ashton Genty, because anything you've heard isn't good enough. Uh I don't want to quite compare it to Ashton Genty, but this men's basketball team looks dangerous. And I think that, like, I'd go as far as saying, man, BJ, if Tyson Degenhart isn't going to win Mountain West Player of the Year this year, I think there might be a guy, maybe a guy or two on his own team that are going to push him for that title.
I could see it. Johnny asked me if I'm more confident or less confident in him breaking the scoring record with what I saw yesterday. And yeah, he's got to, with the way they share the ball and the way they score, I mean, it's going to be, 4 guys a game with 15 or whatever. There may not be a top heavy thing. So I still feel pretty good about it. I mean, you could tell when he wanted to get his, he certainly could.
Yep.
But there's a lot of other options on this team that can score, it seems like.
Honestly, it's a great question, but I probably feel more confident about it because Tyson might be able to operate in a little bit of space now, and teams aren't going to be able to say, hey, let's take away 2 because nobody else is going to, we're not really worried about anybody else. Omar Stanley looked phenomenal the other night. He's one of the guys that I think might be able to push Tyson for Mountain West Player of the Year. He's healthy. He's a year into the system. I am very, very high on Omar Stanley this year. And Alvaro Cardenas, man, that was so much fun to watch the other night. And it feels like he is going to be an absolute game changer for the Boise State men's basketball program and where they can go and what they can do on offense. And when we were texting about this last night in a group thread, BJ, I don't know the last time they had a point guard like Alvaro. I mean, I would say he's the best point guard since Derek Marks that they've had. But even Derek was different than what Alvaro can do. So I am, man, really, really excited about basketball season because of what I saw the other night.
Yeah, and I do want to talk mostly football, but let's just keep it basketball. Let's keep it basketball for another minute and then move to football. But yeah. Oh, by the way, someone was asking if that was you on the Mountain West Network. That was not correct. They got a new hire there.
Yeah, we might slide in for a couple games here, but
when Jay's ready to, when Jay has the time and is ready, he just tap in, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't want to say it like that, but yeah, we'll maybe a couple in December or something like that. It's wild right now, man. It's crazy how busy the schedule is and things like that. I know that so that was not me the other night, but I hope to be back in, not the too distant future, I would say.
Yeah, well, that's good. We enjoy having you up on Press Row, the occasional game. I knew it was a big. We talk about the interest in the fans, man. There was not an empty seat on Press Row either in that opening game. It was certainly folks are interested in this team for a lot of reasons, and not now you just gotta back it up tomorrow. You got to keep winning games you need to win, and tomorrow's a sneaky game. I mean, Ken Palm only has it as a 5-point game. I mean, it's supposed to be a close game, a true road game this early in the season. And they look super impressive, against Oakland, but you got to back that up and not go get a big win on the road.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to find what that game meant the other night, but I mean, they were expected to win comfortably, BJ, but to be a 15-point favorite and win by 44, I mean, that's
People
kind
want
of
to get on me
wild.
for the Ken Palm and it doesn't matter. Look what happened last year. I think the quad system and just the Mountain West not getting any respect was more to blame than Ken Palm's numbers not mattering or whatever. But this early in the season, when there's not, when all the data is from last year, it's really hard to make a big jump. And they moved like 15 spots in one game. Like their efficiencies and what they did offensively and defensively in that one game to go from 47 to 32 at Ken Palm in one game is very, very, like, you don't see that very often at all. I mean, Utah State won by 60 in their game, and they only moved up like 7 spots. So to move up 15 spots against a Division I team like that it just tells you like the efficiency they were playing at offensively, what they did defensively. It was super impressive. But again, these kind of games like San Francisco, a little sneaky, tough road game. Like if you want to be an NCAA tournament team, you want to be a team that can win games and make runs, like it would be a huge buzzkill if they go to San Francisco and lose.
I agree with you. I have confidence that they won't, but I agree with you. And one last thing, I guess, before we go back to football here, BJ, it feels like the conversation about depth has been something I mean, in all honesty, something we've probably kind of forced these last few years. And it's been more of something you wanted to see than was probably like a reality. But man, Leon Rice played like 9 or 10 dudes in the first 8 minutes of the season opener. I don't know if that's happened I don't know if that's happened in a game since I've covered the Boise State basketball team, and I'm on 14 seasons under, with Leon Rice at the helm for all of them. So, I think in order to make a run at the NCAA tournament, if you could have Tyson Degenhart, who's a dude that could play 40 minutes if you needed him to, but all of a sudden, like if you get his minutes from 38 down to like 33, I mean, 5 minutes a night where I mean, he's still going to get his shots up and everything. Don't get me wrong here, but if you get his minutes down a little bit, then all of a sudden, I mean, by the time March hits, you could have 150 less minutes of wear and tear on your body. Like I think that's a very important thing going into the Mountain West tournament and the NCAA tournament, keeping guys just a little bit fresher, if possible. And there are those games where, as Spencer, calls some of his players over there, like a Sheldon Newton, war daddy, right? Like Ashton Genty, a war daddy. I mean, same goes for Tyson Degenhart. If they got to have him out there for 40 minutes, he'll go. But if there's a way where this depth can kind of spell some of these guys, and Omar Stanley's playing 30 minutes versus 36 or things like that, I think that's what really, really makes this team even more dangerous.
This gentleman or this person is going to the game tomorrow in San Francisco. Well, I see him with the basketball game tomorrow. You will not see us, unfortunately, with the football game going on at the same time. This may be, though, I'm hoping, depending on how it works out with the playoff and football and everything else. But as of now, Jay, this is the only basketball game all season that I'm scheduled to miss. I'm planning to go to all the conference games. BNN will be down for the Cayman Islands tournament. So there's a chance this game Saturday is the only game that BNN won't be at. But we do have a plan. Abe Jackson is going to StreamYard in after the game for the post-game show. So we'll get Abe Jackson live from San Francisco after the game. We do have a plan for basketball, football, kind of joint pregame, joint postgame shows on Saturday. So we'll still have full coverage for you, some highlights, but we'll be doing that from right here in the Western Collective Studios. Unable to get down there. I was even trying, if the game was going to be at 10 a.m., Jay, I was trying to see if there was a 4 or 5 o'clock, flight to get over there. And the timing did not line up for this one. It's just unfortunate, but it is a little bit of a bummer for the basketball team, for fans, but I guess the way it lines up is when the football game ends, it should be about halftime of the basketball game, so you can at least switch over and watch the second half.
Yeah. Hey, full slate, right? I'll take it.
Looks like somebody is spamming the chat here. I'm gonna get rid of these people. Our boy Abo snuck one out late last night. He didn't really sneak it out. He was like 1 for 8 from the floor. He didn't have a great game, but they almost did lose to Idaho State last night. USC, and props to Idaho State, man. They almost beat Arizona State. Then they go over 2 nights later and almost beat USC. So we'll see what they got going on at Idaho State there. But they've had a couple close games. But yeah, games tomorrow. excited for that, and we'll be following Boise State basketball tomorrow during the football game, and we'll probably be on our phones during post-game interviews there through our computers watching the second half of that game. All right, football. And again, if you just joined us at 9:30, we are going to be joined by Jim Thomas live from San Diego as they get set for the Mountain West Championship game for the soccer team tomorrow. They were down 1-0 at the half, came back and won that game, Jay. So we'll talk to Coach Thomas. We'll talk a little women's basketball as well. And then Brad Bedell will join me later as well, live at 10 o'clock. So we got an extended, long show for you here, talking all various sports ahead of a big weekend. So Brad Bedell will get us football talk as well. I want to talk about the Jeff Choate angle here, Jay, to kick this off. And I say this first. I do want to play a short clip from Media Days when he was on our show, but I do bring this up, and I don't bring this up as a negative towards Jeff Choate. I actually really like the fact that Jeff Choate is passionate and not making it whatever that he wanted. Like, he's from here, he wanted the job, he didn't get it, but I don't necessarily think that means we should rip Jeff Choate for that. I think that like who wouldn't want to coach at Boise State, and like who wouldn't want to have this opportunity. He makes a weird kind of reference to Dirk Cutter, not getting passed over when he actually did like 2 or 3 times in the past as well. But this is not going to be a pile on Jeff Choate segment, because I actually like Jeff Choate, and I didn't know him that well at all until Media Days and chatting with him. And I actually think he'd be a great guy to cover. And he said a lot of very, very complimentary stuff in his Monday presser about Boise State, which we will play on our pregame show tomorrow. But I do just want to play this clip just to kind of set the stage for this conversation here.
At the risk of not derailing the interview, Coach, I mean, it was pretty public that at least once, maybe twice, you interviewed at Boise State. What can you say, I guess, just about that the opportunity, the interest that you had at one point? I know everything works out for a reason. You're happy where you're at, but just your thoughts on interviewing and maybe getting passed over there.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about the past. I don't think there's a lot of value in that, BJ. And like I said, I truly appreciate the time that I had there. One thing I'll say is that, I graduated from high school in St. Mary's, Idaho. I taught and coached in Challis, Idaho, in Twin Falls, Idaho, and in Post Falls, Idaho. I coached at Boise State for 6 years. It was a pretty successful run. My brother John was the 5A SIC Coach of the Year at Nampa a couple years ago. So my ties to that state are deep and significant. So there was obviously going to be interest on my behalf on returning to a place where, my dad had lived and passed away. My grandparents lived and passed away. And that I had a ton of professional success there. So I always try to keep it on the up and up and just say, hey, look, man, I love my time there. I'm an Idaho boy. And that hurts when, they didn't pass over Dirk Cutter. Let's just put it that way. And they gave him an opportunity. And I think that I've always looked at it like that. Like, where you're from and who you are, that should be celebrated.
Is that game going to mean anything extra for you?
I'd probably be lying if I said it didn't. Yeah. So, but I think that I know this, I'm not playing, and Spencer's not playing, and, we got to get our teams ready to go. And, they've obviously got a great squad, and it'll be a big challenge.
Well, there you go. Jeff Choate. And again, I don't say, this for, like I said, I don't bring this up to just kind of stir it up and be negative towards Jeff Choate. I actually don't mind it. I don't mind Jeff Choate saying that and being confident and saying he wishes he was, he wished he got it, and being a little bitter about it. And you know what, like, good for like Jeff Choate thinks he deserved it. Good for him. He liked the place. He wanted to be here. That's great. But with that said, Jay, like, you do know, and he just admitted, like, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't another, if it was just another game. Spencer said it yesterday. They're going to get him, not indirectly because of that, but he said you're going to get a motivated Jeff Choate team to come in here. Again, that may not matter. They're 25-point underdogs. I'm not sure a pregame speech can make up 25 points. But certainly Jeff Choate and his return is a storyline in this game tomorrow.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I'm right there with you, man. I really respect Jeff Choate. And Nevada was not in a good spot, and I know their record doesn't look very good, and they're only 3-7. But hey, they got a win over Oregon State, which is a big victory for them. They pushed SMU to the brink of a really bad loss potentially to start the year. And right now, SMU pulled that one out, and they're 13th in the college football playoff ranking. So I believe Nevada will certainly have Boise State's attention. That being said, I also just feel personally like it's a steep uphill climb for Nevada this week. They've definitely upgraded their roster in terms of talent, but Jeff Choate is the ultimate motivator. And I think it helps that I think it actually helps them that they're playing Boise State this week, because he'll have his boys up for that. But last week they picked up their 7th loss of the season, which means they're out of bowl contention. And so, as somebody once told me, if you're a college football player and kind of once the bowl eligibility or possibility is gone, all of a sudden your sprained ankle might hurt a little bit more, or that stinger in the shoulder, those are the injuries and stuff that all of a sudden might seem a little worse for wear. And we'll see. But I'm really excited though, because honestly, one of the things I'm most excited about, and hopefully it comes out, is how Jeff Choate fires up his team pregame, because it always seems like he has a creative, fun way to get his players ready to go. But I'm right there with you, man. Think the world of Jeff Choate. I really respect him. And heck, if that's the direction that they did go at one point in time, I would not have. I mean, I would have thought that would have been a great hire for Boise State. It just so happens, in all honesty, and I think it's the reality of the situation right now, Jeremiah Dickey found a better hire.
Yep. And I guess we'll never officially know on that if it was better, but I mean, certainly found the right choice, found the guy that certainly worked out. They're
7-1 right now and in position to go to the college football playoff with a Heisman candidate. Like, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we got to evaluate this thing over a couple of years, but in the short term, he found an elite hire.
No doubt about it. But I do think, like, whether it was the Marquez Cooper thing last week, this thing this week, like, if you're Boise State and you're 3 touchdown plus favorites in these games, like, you do need any kind of, Bedell and Riddle both said this on the pregame show, like, you do at this point in the season, if you're a coach, look for any bulletin board material, any little thing, any extra thing to fire your guys up, just to change the message a little bit, even if it's fake, not real, or not fake, but just not an actual big deal, whatever. They find any little thing they can at this point in the season when you're just hearing the same biggest game because it's the next one, improve, grow, all the things that Spencer likes to keep saying. Like, if you're a player, yeah, it gets, I mean, you can see the end, you're motivated. I don't expect any kind of letdown game, whatever, but I'm just saying, like, if there's an extra chance for them to be fired up because he can tell them that, yeah, Jeff Choate wanted this job, he's going to be fired up, he's going to have his team coming in here ready to play, then maybe that's the little thing that helps them this week in practice or get ready for the game. I don't know. Skyship says blackout for the Jeff Choate return. Love it. Boise. Jeff Choate, once a Bronco, always a Bronco. Brad Todd, Jeff is acting childish about it. Time to throw 100 on him.
No, I mean, that's fine. Whatever. There's competitive fires that burn in this thing. And hey, if I can tell you this, if Jeff Choate gets the chance to score 100 tomorrow, he's absolutely going to do it. He's not going to, but he would. So I'm okay with that mentality because Jeff Choate's got that mentality. But I also like that. I mean, once a Bronco, always a Bronco. This guy is from Idaho, St. Mary's High School, coached in Idaho, coached at the high school level in Idaho. I mean, he's one of our own, and so yeah, you got to cheer against him on Saturday for sure. I'm not saying that. Like, yeah, you got to cheer against him, but it's weird that there's Nevada as a head coach that I really admire and respect. So it should be I want to say it should be a good game, BJ, but like I am just still of the mindset, like, if you asked me a month ago, I would have been a little worried about this game. But I just think as the season kind of drags on and wears on, you just kind of are who you are. And right now, I think Boise State's a team that's trending up and Nevada's a team that's trending down a little bit, despite the fact that I do feel like they've exceeded their own expectations in Reno this year. And I just think that Boise State's gonna have their way with the Wolfpack tomorrow. Just as I would expect something similar to San Diego State, in my opinion.
Robbie Robinson, don't have anything against him for saying that. Totally makes sense. Don't blame him for feeling like this game means more.
Yep.
All his points are valid, according to Bronco Nation updates. Skyships jokingly says Coach D should offer him an assistant's job in the postgame handshake line. Would Choate ever consider a position at BS when Dirk retires? And then he's a defensive coach, so no, probably not. See what else we got. You're reaching if you think Choate's remarks are bulletin board material. I do think Spencer Danielson, I mean, the comments, I was going to specifically ask about this, Jay, and I didn't have to because he basically said it. So there's no doubt that Spencer Danielson knows about those comments or knows his motivation here. And there's no doubt that he is, like I said, at least in a quick team meeting in passing, as one of the reasons why he expects Nevada to be fired up for this game. He is going to tell them that their head coach wishes that he was the head coach here.
Yeah. Well, another thing too that I'm going to assume that they can tangibly put up on a screen inside the Boise State football complex was back when they came up here to recruit a local kid, Isaiah Reed. Great man, what a good kid, good football player. Plays at Rocky Mountain High School. Verbally committed to play at Nevada. Rocky Mountain's undefeated. They're probably going to win a state title, and Isaiah he is the key to that team, man. But when they came up here to recruit, they sent out a little graphic turning Boise a different shade of blue, and so I have a feeling that will. I don't know if it's going to come back to bite them or not, man. Does it really change the outcome of the game? I don't know, but if you want to talk about a little fuel for the fire, that one would get under my skin a little bit.
Yep. No, I think that's certainly going to be shown. And the game in 2021, where there are some players on this team just a couple of years ago. That was during that run where Andy Avalos led team lost 3 consecutive home games on the blue that year. And it sounds almost crazy to say 3 straight home games they lost in 2021. One of them was to Nevada, and that's the last time Nevada has come up here. Spencer Danielson was correct about this one. First he was saying, oh, San Diego State came up here, but Nevada, the last time they came up here just 3 years ago. And again, 3 years ago, you got a decent number of players that were, maybe they weren't key contributors, but were at least on the team 3 years ago when they came up here and won the game. So I think that's going to be shown too, or he's already told us it was shown and mentioned and brought up that, like, yeah, the last team this time came up here, they won on the blue. So there's no shortage of things, even in a 25-point, spread. But it goes the other way too. I mean, Jeff Trout was saying, hey, this is national Fox. This is a chance for us to, show who we are and make a statement as well. So Nevada's kind of playing with house money here, and they want to be the one to ruin Boise State's season and stop Ashton Genty and do all the stuff these other teams have been doing. So it's the last scheduled meeting in Boise between Nevada and Boise State. And we thought this before. I mean, I'm sure down the road something will happen. But right now, Jay, this rivalry, Boise State, Nevada, one more game next year, I guess, scheduled in Reno. But for the time being, the last scheduled meeting in Boise, when you think about all the history, and that's one of the things we're doing on our pregame show. We've got Kyle Brotzman, a couple of guys coming on our pregame show live on Saturday that have been a part of that 2010 game and some of the other games. And it's going to be a really fun talk, but it's crazy to think about all the games, whether it was Kaepernick's game in Boise or whether it was that 2010 game in there. I mean, so many legendary games, and this will be, at least on paper, the last scheduled meeting in Boise here tomorrow evening.
No, you're exactly right. One other thing though, BJ, about why I'm so confident in this game, when we talked at the beginning of the season about how Boise State could kind of like get back on the right direction, you remember what I said about the blue and defending the blue. If there was anything this program had to do to get back on the right track, it meant defending the blue at a high clip. Every opponent that has stepped on the blue with Boise State this year has got absolutely smashed. I mean, Boise State, they're not back to just winning at home. They're back to blowing out teams at home. And they're averaging almost 55 points per game at home, number 1 in all of college football. I got a lot of confidence in this team playing on the blue right now, and I think they have restored the mystique of the blue.
I agree with you on that, no doubt. Robbie Robinson, not going to happen, but would be kind of funny. He says they should invite Jeff Choate over to do the blue chaos flag.
I would love to see what he would do. He might light it on fire, to be honest with you. I don't know what he would do in the moment. So that would be hilarious.
Any final thought on this game before we move on, Jay? But just in general, getting Genty going again. Any just thoughts on this game? I mean, we've now seen what can happen when teams 100% sell out against Genty. I do wonder if Nevada, and hearing Jeff Choate talk, it sounds like they may have to try something. They can't just do the exact same game plan San Diego State did. He knew it didn't work. But just what's your take on this matchup? You said you think it's going to be a lot like the San Diego State game, which would be a blowout win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot like San Diego State. I don't know if they're going to be able to get up 28-0, just over a quarter into play, but I just think that's the way that it's going to be. Nevada's got a good quarterback. Like, he's somebody you have to respect. Threw for over 250, rushed for over 100 last week. When he's been healthy, they've been pretty competitive. And for the most part, like, Nevada hasn't been blown out of too many games this year. I mean, they hang around for the most part. But I do think it's important for Ashton to probably, make sure that he kind of has one of those performances again tomorrow. If he wants to get back in the Heisman race. And the funny thing is, it's not even on him, man. Like, if you watch him against San Diego State, there are so many guys in the box. He still made a ton of guys miss. 18 forced missed tackles, the most in a college football game this season. He was still really, really good against San Diego State, despite the fact all they were doing to stop him. But it does feel like he needs to get one of those attention-grabbing 200-yard, 3-touchdown games just to make sure that he can reserve his seat in New York. I think the other thing, and I tweeted this out earlier this week, a little worried about Ole Miss. I think you want to root against Ole Miss and Jackson Dart tomorrow against Georgia, because if they pull that one out, Jackson Dart's got some pretty impressive numbers right now, and if he pulls that one out, he's going to make a big leap and really get back into this Heisman race, and I don't want to see that bump Ashton out of it.
No, I agree with you. No, I think this is a game Genty needs to have a big game. He needs to get rolling, national TV, and frankly, Jay, I mean, he's having big games, but he needs one of those.
Yes, he is. He's having big games.
60, 70-yard kind of highlight runs.
It's just because, like, those are the plays that go viral, and those are the plays that, like, people in the South, that there's a lot of voters, man, down there in the South. He's got to be able to grab their attention, and that's what I'm backing off this. I almost feel like I'm painting this in too negative a light. He's still been unbelievable. Dude had 180 yards from scrimmage last week. That would be, for any other human in America, you'd be hyping that up over the moon about it. He is different, or built different, as Spencer Danielson likes to say. So if he can find a way to bust a couple of big ones and make sure that he goes viral again and things like that, it's only going to help his Heisman campaign. And I worried about this a little bit when November would hit, that other guys would have bigger spotlights and things like that. It will help that he is on Big Fox, 3 times potentially in a 5-week stretch to wrap up the season here.
Hey, I want to thank a couple sponsors real quick. Our studio sponsor is a Western Collective, the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the Orange Chaos Seltzer. You can pick them up at Albertson Stadium tomorrow night. Your local retailers. They got the brewery down in Garden City. Support the Horseshoe Collective. Put money back in the student-athletes' pockets at Boise State by purchasing some of Western Collective's great products, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale and the Orange Chaos Seltzer. Our title sponsor is RoePaint.com, ROEPaint.com. All your painting needs. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics is RoePaint.com. And again, whether it's those concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting, all your painting needs, the time is now to hit up our title sponsor at RoePaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Tyson Degenhart, his show will return next week here on BNN as we get you set for the Clemson game next weekend. But Idaho Central Credit Union, there's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Check them out. Idaho Central Credit Union. Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher. Our family purchased and sold our home using Matt and his team. Did a tremendous job. And we're very thankful and happy that we decided to go with Matt and went with the sponsor, and it paid off. So I know you have 5 friends that are realtors in town. Everybody does. But I highly recommend using Matt and his team. You'll get personalized individual service. You'll get the best dollar for your sale. You'll get the best deals for your purchase. And I can't say it enough. Our friend Matt Bauscher over at Bauscher Real Estate. All right, Jay, we mentioned it being just a massive weekend for Boise State sports here. We're going to talk women's basketball in a little bit. We obviously have the big game on the football side, on the basketball side, but the soccer team's got a lot going on as well, Jay. They're about to play tomorrow night, trying to make history here.
Yeah, man, what a season they're having right now, right, BJ? So, Jeremiah Dickey once said that he wants to have every team competing for a championship, right? Man, right now he's getting pretty close to that there, BJ.
He definitely is. And let's not waste any more of our guest time. Got up early for us in San Diego, getting set for the game tomorrow night. Jim Thomas, head coach, congratulations. I know the goal's not done, obviously, but congrats on the comeback the other night. And we appreciate you joining us. How you doing?
Thanks. It's good to be here. Good to be on the show.
Yeah, we're kind of monitoring that semifinal game during the basketball game the other night, and we're all checking our phones and everything. And you get down 1-0 at the half, and it's looking a little dicey, but you come out strong, 3 goals in the second half, and then you hang on there after they got the 1 goal. But just being the number 1 seed, getting down early, and the home teams are, pitch. I mean, just to come back, and you like that pitch. I got my soccer lingo down, Jay.
That's good for you. That's good. That's
just to come to come storm back and win that game. What can you say?
Well, I think it's a collective, isn't it? And I think you get tested in these kind of games. You find out what steel you've got in the room, and what is, people talk about culture all the time, and we've got a good culture here and we've got a good culture there. But then when it gets tested, you actually find out. And I think we found out a lot in that game about what the resolution level of this team is and what their intentions are going into the game on Saturday. And the cool part about it was who did it. You've got this kid that's been playing minutes in every single game, comes on as a fire plug off the bench. And she's the one in Asia Lawyer that's willing to put her face literally on the line in order to set up Pador for the first. And then she's got the class to finish the second one. And her goal ends up being the game winner. So I think sometimes people rely heavily on their starters. I heard you guys talking about Ashton and the great things that are going on in the football program. But sometimes culture's really showcased the most by the other players that don't get the plauditory. They still playing at that level? Are they committed on that level? Will they do anything that it takes? And Asia certainly proved that we have that here.
And I know we're showing some of the highlights here from the Mountain West Network on the screen during the show here, down 1-0 at the half at this point. But I know your assistant coach, Max, was talking about handling hard is kind of a phrase you guys have really stuck with. And like I said, I mean, not to put too much on it, but you're the number 1 seed, you're the regular season champs, and you're down at halftime. Your great storybook, great season is on the ropes. I mean, what was the mood like at halftime, and just how were you guys able to kind of storm back the way you did?
We were calm. I think you've been in a lot of games at this point, and for me, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. That games can change in a heartbeat, and it was more about were we in the right place, doing the right things. And if you go back and watch the first half, we were brilliant for 10 to 15 minutes. Should have been up, hit the post, had another one cleared off the line, and then the game got a little funky for us. We had to survive that period. And when you think about those two things, they're probably going to happen the most time when you're playing the home team on their pitch with as many seniors as they had, as many careers that were on the line in the 2 semi-finals. It's unbelievable to see the tension build throughout the games. And I think from our perspective, we just wanted to make sure that whether we were going to come out and score 3 goals or give up another 3, that we were doing it our way. And there were a couple of key points specifically in the midfield that really ignited what happened. And I've got a lot of respect for the guys like Sophie Drown and Morgan Pador who came on and what we call the engine room and really got us motor in there.
Jim, you talk about, the culture and stuff of your program. One thing that stands out to me, I cover high school sports locally. You have 9 athletes on your roster from the state of Idaho. How much does that continuity and chemistry help? That a lot of them have played with each other before even arriving at Boise State, or certainly at least played against each other before arriving at Boise State.
I think the biggest thing is that they know what we're about. It's one thing to come into Boise State because, they're the shiny sports car. We've got a lovely field, great facilities, good people. They come to the town and they're like, my gosh, I could live here. And most of them end up living here. It's really got this glow to it. But I think if you're a local player, you know what it means to the community, where it fits in, how it got where it was, what its story is, and why it's so impressive that we are what we are. And they get to express that day in, day out in training. They get to embody that when we go to football games and we get dressed up like we're proper fans. It's because we've been led by people that have been doing this their entire life, and you come to our games and we're breaking attendance records basically because of our position within the community and what those players and their families know Boise State to mean. And that's really difficult if you've got an out-of-state player that, again, it looks like one thing, but you don't really get it. Why is it so cool? And that's why you need people that have been born and bred into it.
You bring up community. You also mentioned football. You guys go support them. Yeah. Spencer Danielson he is quick to support you guys. We have our weekly press conference where we catch up with him a little bit later in the week. It usually happens every Thursday, Jim. And before he mentioned anything about his team, he was quick to point out your team And I don't know how often that happens with the Boise State football coach is so, locked in on his own team and his own success. But what does that mean to you to kind of hear that from Spencer Danielson?
I think there's been there's been a big change here in the last 3 years, guys, and you've been here longer than I have, and you
Mm-hmm.
see it, different attitude around the department now. That's led by Jeremiah and his crew, and who he's empowered and allowed to come into a bigger position. And it's not just the money he's raised, which has been historic. If you look at the way he's poured all of that money back into the facilities and how our actual campus is starting to look now, we're really in a place of change. And I think for all of us as coaches, it's been a long time coming, something that we feel like could have really positioned us in this kind of position earlier. You're talking about how well we're all doing. I think that's kind of the empowerment that Jeremiah has given us. And as that's been going on, we haven't lost the grassroots of who we are, which is that the university reflects the community and the community reflects the university. They are synonymous. That is very, very, very rare. But it's the same with Leon. And it's the same with us, with Sean. Sean had a massive, massive win last night. And we're at dinner and the whole team are watching the game online. So it's, you follow how well the cross-country team just did and how brilliant the golf is doing at the moment. And there really is a connectivity between us all. But we work really, really diligently to build those relationships across the year. So when people are having their moments, good, bad, or really tense, that they've got the whole community behind them, like we do when we go out and play at home on Thursdays and Saturdays.
And I don't remember, I think it was actually your birthday, but there was a coach's birthday at the beginning, one of the football games earlier this season, and somebody brought up that Spencer, like 2 hours before the game in the coaches group chat, sent a happy birthday to you or whoever it was. So you're right about that. You got me by a couple of months, Coach. You came, I think, December of 2012. I arrived here in like March of 2013. So I know Jay has both of us, but I've been here about the same amount of time as you and seen these facilities and this program and everything. And just what you've done. I mean, you're the all-time winningest coach now, and a lot of the things that you've obviously done here. You had those 3 great years. Was it 16, 17, 18, 17, 18, 19, right in there? And you've obviously done some great things, but you got the lights, recently. We talked about the all-time wins last year, I think it was. But just as you continue to build this program, continue to stay here, like to be the number 1 seed, to be the regular season champions, how do you just feel overall about this program, and what would a win tomorrow night mean as you continue to build this thing?
Well, I think consistency is key. We've had 8 winning seasons in a row. Obviously, this championship, I think if we win tomorrow, we'll have won 5 out of the last 14 championships. So you're looking at over a 30% championship clip, which is pretty unbelievable. Let alone out the finals that we've been in, or semifinals and finals that we've been in. So we've been a top 4 team in this conference now for a decade. And I think that consistency is really the key to this whole thing. And our players are going to cycle high and low. Our opponents are going to cycle high and low. And you're going to be sometimes running from the front, as we were this year. Sometimes you're going to be chasing it a little bit from behind, like we were in 2021. But the expectations of championships never kind of abates from this program. And I think we've been really consistent in that. And so tomorrow is just a part of the process. It's part of the job. We came here to do it. We come here to do it every single year, and we get very, very close every single year. And it's what a game. I don't think there's ever been a game in Mountain West history where there's been this many wins in it. 33 collective wins out of a potential 40 in a conference final is absolutely unbelievable. And I think they're ranked 18th in the country on the RPI right now. It's a tremendous showcase for this conference, and it'll be an absolute banger of a game. There's so many goals out there on the pitch. I think it'll be exciting. And the fact that it's neutral really kind of adds a different spin to it on a neutral ground. So for us, obviously, we lost to them about a week ago, 2-0, but that was in Logan, and that was a very, very different circumstance. I'm excited to get another shot at them, and I know we're going to bring the heat.
I was going to ask you about that. I think you guys had already clinched the at least a share of the title, right, at that point, or clinched. So I don't know, mentally, when you've already celebrated, you're already kind of the champs, and then you still have the 1 game left on the road. I mean, are they going to see a different team on your side tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think when we look back to it, there was kind of a tour came and we weren't quite as exuberant. is probably the best way. We play pretty well. You know, you take one of the top 5 scoring teams in the country, and you limit them to 2 set-piece goals, 13 total shots, which is really nothing for them. But we weren't dangerous. We didn't do it our way. Got a little bit off of track when it came to energy and emotion, and we feed off of that. I mean, we're all that. So it's going to be exciting for us to really bring the juice for them again and let our players handle business the way that they've been handling business, really kind of let it out. So, yeah, I do think they're going to see a different version of us, and I think it's going to be one that's got an awful lot of excitement and energy from the sidelines all the way through to the players on the pitch.
You know, one more for me, Jim, and you know, you mentioned handling business. I think when you look at like great athletes in the history of Boise State, whether it be a Riley Lupfer or a Brady Hodgins or an Ashton Genty or a Tyson Degenhardt or a Kellen Moore, these are all athletes with tremendous individual stats, but every single one of them is known above all for winning. And when you look at Genevieve Crenshaw, what will her legacy be at Boise State? And what do you think it'll be like watching her compete to, you know, try to play another one tomorrow?
Yeah. It's like the Bettenfield song, you know, it's unwritten. She's writing her legacy every single match that she goes out there, you know, and I don't think we're really going to know. You know, I think those same players had winning in there, but they also had historical or legacy-like games that really define them. Do you remember that one game, or do you remember that sequence of games? Our university's football program is defined by a game and almost a play, to be honest with you. That I think Jen's ready for one of those moments, and I think her story is only halfway written too. I think there's a career after her career here, playing as a professional, probably playing internationally as well, that will really expand what that legacy is. But as for her time at Boise State, she's broken every record. She has a regular season championship. There really is only one thing left for her to do, and that's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And she's been fantastic. She's not just a great player. She's that character kid that you'll be referencing to every other player that comes through the door about how you do it and how you do it right. She's done it for 5 years now. Most of the fifth-year guys are walking around with crutches or walking sticks. They're so beaten up, and they somehow manage to rally himself by the weekend. And she's not that. She's primed, ready, really taking care of business on and off the park. And I'm excited for her to get an opportunity to do that. Sometimes there are those athletes that don't even get the chance, right? You would have loved to have seen them in that game, or the boxer that never really had the opponent that would have defined the career. Well, she's going to get that game tomorrow night. We're going to get to watch it.
Well, we saw the clip, Coach, after the semifinal game. The excitement on the faces here of your players putting into the championship game, and it'd be awesome tomorrow night. So about 9 o'clock here in Boise to see that again as you guys try to finish the deal. And hopefully the football team's up by 30 at halftime, and everyone can switch over to Mountain West Network for your game. And it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow night. And wishing you the best of luck, Coach.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. Go Broncos.
Thanks for coming on. There he is, Jim Thomas. Jay, the all-time leading coach in terms of wins at Boise State, has set the bar so high, has set the history, has got the lights, has all the things they've done there. And here they are on the cusp again of getting back to the NCAA tournament. You're on mute, Jay.
There it is. We have officially started our Friday show, everybody. Like I alluded to it, and Jim actually said it, like a legendary athlete like Genevieve Crenshaw. I mean, she's got one more box to check. This is like Tyson Degenhardt winning an NCAA tournament game. Like that's all he hasn't done, right? Like she's going to go down as one of the best to ever play at Boise State, regardless of sport. And it would be so cool to see the Broncos get this one for her tomorrow.
All right, we're going to get back to the football talk here in about 10 minutes. Brad Bedell is going to join me, Jay. But we got a cool storyline coming up on Sunday. Speaking of basketball here, you see Gordy Presnell. Look how young Gordy Presnell looks in that photo. Wow. This was, there's a storyline with Colorado, Jay, coming into town here to play Boise State on Sunday. And obviously J.R. Payne, the head coach at Colorado, is seated right there to the right of Gordy Presnell, and Toriano Towns, the associate head coach for Colorado. They were both on the staff under Gordy Presnell at Boise State for a long time. 05 to 08 for Payne, 05 to 09. And then you see Heather Sauer there on the left was also there. So during those years, 63-32 record, 2 WAC regular season championships, a WAC tournament championship, went to the NCAA tournament in 2007, the second round, I believe, of the NIT in 2008. And now Coach Payne, Coach Towns bringing Colorado back. I know they were here a couple years ago, Jay, but bringing Colorado back on Sunday, 2 times to the Sweet 16, back-to-back. And it's going to be an exciting game on Sunday for the women's basketball team as well, Jay.
Yeah, weird that Gordy Presnell would, be associated with success when it comes to women's basketball. That's so strange, BJ, that would be the case.
Well, I'm excited because I know when you have all this, everyone's talking football and all this, but back-to-back Sweet 16s for Colorado. I know this is going to be an exciting game on Sunday, and we could see some history on the women's side here as well. Our special guest that is going to join us right now needs 1 point to reach 1,000 for her career, and so I feel pretty good, Jay, in saying it's going to happen on Sunday. Abby Moose joins us. Abby, how you doing?
Hi, BJ. Hi, Jay. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show.
We appreciate you for coming on. You guys are coming off the big win. Now you get Colorado, Big 12, back-to-back Sweet 16s coming to your place. A nice test on Sunday to see where you guys are at.
We're super excited for Sunday, and not only because Coach Payne's coming back to Boise to play against a great coach, but we're excited to play against a really good program and a great team.
How do you feel? I mentioned the big win the other day, but how do you guys feel like you're playing right now coming into this matchup?
I think we just are continuing to build, and we're really on that upward trend as season is starting. And so I think we're just ready to get this thing fully going and getting ready for conference starting in December. It's nice to play other people besides your teammates because we're just beating up on each other all day, every day in practice. So it's fun to beat up on other people as a team.
That might really be the case for your squad there, Abby, because you brought back so much talent off last year's team. How excited are you and your teammates about the season ahead, knowing how much continuity you have across the board? And in all honesty, I'm going to guess that allows you to start a little faster this season too.
It definitely does. And we're stoked to be able to return so many people and so many I think it was 93% of our scoring is returning, which is huge. And so we're just excited to continue to build off the success that we've kind of created over the years to get back to that Boise State women's basketball standard that we hold ourselves to.
92.9%, I think, to be exact, which is the third highest of any team in the country. What has that been like? There was a Tust stat for you, Jay. What was it? What is that like when you look around the court? And it is so much familiarity, as Jay said. It's just got to be so nice. And I think I saw the note from Alex that Colorado has 10 new players, only 1 returning starter this year. So obviously a big difference on the 2 benches, the 2 court, 2 sides of the court coming into Sunday.
I think it's something we can really take advantage of as we can more hit the ground running than other teams like Colorado, who might, take some time for that adjustment period for having new players start to play together. And so it's honestly a sense of familiarity, just stepping back onto the court and seeing all those familiar faces. And there's not as many new faces. And even our new faces that we do have are 3 freshmen, 2 transfers. They fit right in, as you could have seen from Monday's game. They've been really, really, they've been fitting well with our program, which is great.
I kind of joke about it. I mean, at some point here, it's a formality. The points come and you're going to get to the 1,000. Just have you thought about that and just adding your name to that list and what you've been able to accomplish here? And we can get to the blocks, talk here in a second. But in terms of scoring and what you've done and just being a steady presence there and for this program in the last several years, what's it going to mean to you to get to 1,000 career points?
It's really cool, but it's also not something I focus on. I didn't even know that I was that close until Alex told me on Monday afterwards. So kind of funny that it's one away, but obviously the goal is to win and for the team to play well and for us to do better than our opponent. And so if that means I'm scoring, that's great. That means I'm getting rebounds, that's great. If that means whatever. The goal is to win, but I am super honored to be this close to that milestone, and I'm really excited for it. And my parents are going to be here on Sunday, so it kind of works well. I'm excited for that.
What gives you more joy? Just some really nice, spin move in the post and a nice, glorious layup, or just projecting a shot into the third row of the crowd?
Probably a block shot. Honestly, my favorite stat is rebounding, because I feel like rebounding, you really have to work so hard for that one stat. Not that the other stats you don't work for, but I feel the most that I've worked really hard when I've gotten a rebound. But out of those two, I would say a block shot.
And you do have 265 of them to choose from in terms of your favorite block shots. You're 2 away from moving into 3rd place all time in Mountain West history, and you're 81 blocks, if my math is correct, 81 shy of the Mountain West record. Can we get 81 in the next 30, 35 games here?
I think that's possible for sure.
Okay, so that let's get to the 1,000, and then we'll turn our attention to the Mountain West all-time blocks record. 81 to go. I believe that would tie it. Again, just this program's kind of been building the last couple of years, and it's, we had the glory days, and then it kind of was a little bit of transition for a couple of years. And with all this talent back, I mean, does it kind of feel like this is hopefully the year that it all gets put back together? And we've seen the improvement the last couple of years, but I mean, do you feel like you guys are ready to compete for the league title here and get back to the postseason?
That's definitely the goal, especially for our senior class, where we have 4 true seniors and then us 3 COVID seniors, our 5th years. It's definitely a time for desperation. Not desperation like we're not confident we're going to win. Desperation like, okay, it's do or die. We're ready to do this. And even just looking back from sophomore year, where we had 8 wins, building off each year to last year getting a 20-win season, which is huge. Like we're so primed and ready for this season and ready to continue to reach that goal that we've been building off of all of these years.
I mentioned Gordy Presnell in this photo, Heather Sower as well on the left there. When you kind of see this photo, I don't know if you've seen it before or not. But, Coach Sower and Coach Presnell, what kind of stands out to you?
Oh, it's just really cool, first of all, to see them still coaching together. They're a great team, always have been. That's a testament to how they work together. And it's cool to see Coach Payne there as well, because obviously she's done her own thing at Colorado that's been really great. But I think it's just a testament to how great of a coach Coach P is and Sower, and how they're able to be in this business for so long. That longevity factor is huge. And even just seeing them still at Boise State, like that's really special that they've been here all these years. And it just shows that they really, really care about this program. So
I'm Coach Sower, being a player and everything that she's done over the years too. I've had her on my podcast before. I mean, you're not going to find somebody more connected to the women's program than Coach Sower and everything that she's done in terms of being a part of the greatest teams back, previously too. And so, it's going to be fun. Final thing, I guess, just give us the scouting report on Colorado, the matchup on Sunday, and why should, if fans are thinking about something to do on Sunday, why should they turn off the NFL games and come down to you guys at 2:00?
They should come down to our gym, to Extra Mile Arena. It's going to be a battle. We're super excited. They're very lengthy. They're taller. But that's okay, because we have our shooters, we have our system, and everything we run is very sound, I think, and is going to be sound against them. But it's going to be a battle, and we're really excited. So people should come down and watch a show.
I don't. What happens first? Your 1,000th point or Danny Bay's 100th career 3-pointer? She needs one more. So,
oh my gosh. Hopefully Danny's 3. That would be so awesome.
Well, we appreciate you jumping on, Abby. Always a good time, and best of luck on Sunday. And hopefully we can catch up with you again later in the season.
Sounds great. Thank you, BJ.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Abby Muse, appreciate her for jumping on. Thanks to Alex for helping us out there as well. And again, they have a big game coming up on Sunday, and we're excited to check them out against Colorado. Again, Colorado back-to-back Sweet 16s. Getting them to come into Extra Mile Arena here is obviously a big deal. So if you're looking for something to do on Sunday afternoon, take the family, head on down and see the women's basketball team as they'll play on Sunday to kind of wrap up a big weekend for Boise State sports. We're going to get back to the football talk in just a second. Brad Bedell is getting set to join us, and we'll get Brad's take on the game here in just a second. But I do want to thank a couple more of our sponsors. Ridley's Family Markets. Check them out, shopridleys.com. 13 locations across the state of Idaho. Check them out, shopridleys.com. And again, Ridley's Family Markets, you download that Skip app, you get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. And again, get more information, find a location near you at shopridleys.com. TheSpaTeam.com, they're ready to help you out, whether it is a pool table for the game room, a sauna for your garage, a spa for your back patio. They got you covered. Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa, They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. Check them out, thespateam.com. Lithia Ford of Boise. Appreciate Jim Sturk and company as well. Check them out, lithiafordboise.com. All their vehicles are available online. You can view that full inventory at lithiafordboise.com, and then you can go in, test drive, be on your way. The Raines family purchased an F-150 from them and couldn't be happier with our purchase, and it was a very easy process. Whether it's an F-150, a Ford Explorer, the Mach-E Mustang, electric Mustang, they got you covered. Check them out. Again, you go online, do all the research ahead of time. So when you head in, you already know the 2 or 3 you want to test drive, and you've already done the research and you're ready to go. So check them out. Lithia Ford Boise, lithiafordboise.com. Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com. We're going to be doing a show next week from Taco Bell. I got to figure out the day and the co-host and see if we can make something work. I think Brad Bedell might want some free Taco Bell. Maybe we can make that happen. Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com. Check them out. SON Management, the Nicolason family. And again, they're hiring. So if you need a job, just go to TacoBellWorks.com, get more information. But they've got great promotional opportunities, free food while you work. You get half your wages the next day after your shift. And, oh, yeah, the food's pretty darn good as well. So check them out. Fridays is usually our Taco Bell night for the Raines family. So I'm sure we'll be heading to the Eagle Road location after school today. Check them out, TacoBellWorks.com. And I want to mention Transportation Compliance Service as well, TransCompService.com. Check them out if you want to get into the trucking industry every step of the way. They can help you out at transcomservice.com. The overweight permits, the DOT, everything you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. They've been around since day one at Bronco Nation News, and we appreciate them. So check them out at transcomservice.com. All right, we've talked some football. We've talked some basketball. We talked some women's basketball. We've talked some soccer. We still got 332 of you hanging around for Brad Bedell, and we're excited for this. I know we got some scheduling stuff going on, Brad. You're out of town this weekend, and we got basketball tomorrow as well, so kind of a different schedule for pre- and post-game tomorrow, but we appreciate you for jumping on a Friday and making some time for us. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. It's a fun weekend for Boise State. They got the soccer team in the Mountain West Championship game. Women's basketball is bringing in a back-to-back Sweet 16 team in Colorado on Sunday. You got the men's basketball team coming off a huge win, going down to San Francisco for a big kind of mid-major game on Saturday night. But obviously the headliner is Boise State Nevada football. Coming in, as big favorites in this game. It's a national TV game. It would look like another chance just for Boise State to win big and show the country kind of who they are and what Ashton Genty can do. But before we get into a few specifics here, what's kind of just your general big picture thoughts on this matchup tomorrow night against Nevada?
Emotional. This is an emotional one now. I mean, you have Jeff Choate bringing a Nevada team into town that he has a lot of connection to this football program, to Boise State's football program, that he understands what the tradition, the blue collar, the physical aspect of football that Boise State wants to play. So, Nevada's come in here a long time, but now I always think when you get somebody that's been attached to this program, that knows a lot of people that's involved in this program, that they kind of take, it's not in one ear out the other. They're like, okay, this guy's been there. He understands that you don't lose in the blue. And he's going to put this game into an emotional setting for his team, and they're going to come with a huge chip on their shoulder. This is personal to him. I truly feel that. And if whoever says that these types of games aren't personal, they're not telling the truth. It's BS. I think this is a personal matchup for a Nevada program and I don't want to put bad karma on them, but this is also a program that killed some chances a long time ago. So, this is a big one. This is a huge rivalry in my opinion. And so I think the emotional attachment to this game is it's just another dynamic of a great football game.
And we played the clip earlier from Mountain West Media Days when me and Mike Sanford had a chance to catch up with Jeff Choate down there in Las Vegas at Media Days, and he made no mistake about it. He said, "Hey, they gave Dirk Cutter another chance. Hey, he talked about being an Idaho kid, going to school there, coaching there, and all the stuff he had done growing up, as he said, with the personal factor." Some of the fans on here are saying, "Good for Jeff Choate." Like, I got no problem with him saying that. He wanted to be here. He's fired up. Good for him. Some people are saying, screw him, let's put 100 on him. How do you, what do you make of him just being pretty public about the fact that he wanted to be the Boise State coach, did feel a little salty? It looked like that he got passed over twice. And, they came back to Boise when he was recruiting and a couple months, in the spring, and they had some graphics and things about painting Boise a different shade of blue. I mean, what do you make about his openness, I guess, that he is, as you said, wanted the job and felt a little slighted that he didn't get it?
I love it. I mean, guys, Jeff Choate loves Boise State. He does. And I don't understand why the Boise State fan base go, screw him, put 100 on him. Okay, if it's going to take 100 to win the game, you put 100 on him. That's the way it is. But let's not do that to Jeff Choate. He's given a lot to this Boise State football program, and he's worked very hard for this program. And what's wrong with having an emotional attachment? I can tell you every offensive lineman that was drafted in front of me that didn't play more than 2 years. And when they all got drafted, I was like, all right, I'm gonna play longer than all of them. That's the competitive. I mean, there's jobs that I really wanted that I never got, and if I had the opportunity to play them, I wanted to beat them bad and said, you guys messed up. I should be that coach right there, and you know what? I'm gonna make you pay for it. And that's what's wrong with having a desire and a passion for something that you really want. And I actually appreciate it when people make that noticeable. I mean, I don't find a problem with that. I love it. I love emotional. I think football is an emotional game. I think you got to coach it emotionally, and I think if you can control those emotions to aggression in the legal way, cut the penalties down, but try to literally choke out the team you're playing. Here we go. Now we got a football team. So he's going to try to do that come Saturday. I don't think it's going to work, but yeah, I don't trust me. I'm not calling an upset here. I'm just saying it's going to be an emotional game, but I will say this. I need to make this clear. About the middle of the first quarter, the emotions seem to calm down, and you got to get into a flow of a game. We've all seen that. Like, let's look at the Ohio State-Penn State game. I think that was last weekend. That quarterback at Ohio State was from Pennsylvania, and he was very slighted that Penn State didn't take him. He was airmailing balls. I mean, he was too jacked up. If you don't settle in, this game can – if Nevada does not settle in, this game could get real ugly real quick.
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, can a pregame speech make up for being 25-point underdogs? I mean, this obviously on paper, this matchup, I mean, it's pretty one-sided.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, new head coach is trying to bring a new culture to a football program and things like that. There's going to be ups and downs. They had the win versus Oregon State. That was an emotional win for Nevada. It's every other team. Hey, let's knock off Boise State, but we've talked about this. It seems like a broken record, but it's true. Every game, there's more pressure on Boise State. They've got everything to lose. Nevada's got everything to gain. And you got to come in and you got to play the game that way. You got to have offensively, they should have trick plays. They should have all kinds of things to try to get them to steal a possession, something like that. And I think all that's going to go away, and you got to play the game. And 24 is a lot of points, but we thought San Diego State was a lot of points too, and San Diego State came in here and just crapped the bed. So, I mean, they did.
We saw in that game that they just loaded the box and basically said, "You're not beating us, Ashton-Jeanty." And so Maddox Madsen said, "Okay, fine. I'm going to pass for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns," and they found a way to win.
Jeanty also had 186 yards rushing.
He did. Well, total yards. I think it was like 149.
Oh, yeah, 140. Yeah, you're right.
But Latrell Capel said earlier this week, like that these last couple of weeks, the teams are literally just trying to keep him from winning the Heisman. They're not, and his quote was, "They're not trying to win because they're just loading the box, trying to stop him, and obviously leaving the receivers wide open and just kind of giving up on the passing game." I mean, you mentioned Jeff Choate, defensive coach, knows what he's doing. He's watching the game tape of these last couple of games. How do you think he, or just in general, how does a team, now that you see what Jeanty can do and now that you've seen what the passing game can do, I know it's a lot of pick your poison here and you can't stop both, but what do you think would give defenses the best chance to try to slow down this offense, which right now is the number 3 ranked offense in the country?
So that's a good question. I was thinking about that, and I was talking to Rid about this. Loading the box hasn't worked the past 2 weeks. Okay. If you go light box, you're going to get rushed for 400 yards. I would mix and match coverages to box looks. So I would actually make Boise State run some check with me stuff, some kill plays if they have that in their arsenal, which I'm sure they do. Where now you got to get the quarterback to make some decisions, right? Okay, what's the coverage? Man free, great. Let's just keep the pass on. We got the players on the edges to win in man coverage. Okay, now all right, it's 2nd and 7, right? Okay, where are they playing? Playing cover 4, playing cover 2, lighter box. Okay, let's check to the run. So you're going to have to play that game going in and out of this thing now. So and it's going to put a little bit more on the quarterback. But, Max is a smart guy. And I think that's when you're going to get into the plays that fit the best type of box look for the run game. And if it's not, I was going to say something that we used to say in the National Football League, and I won't. But if it's an ugly box, throw it. If it's a nice, clean, man for man, all that, run the ball. And so I think you're going to have to get into that game so they're not forced to always just hand the ball off to an 8-man box or something like that. Now, I love Latrell. I understand that. But for that comment to say they're not trying to win a game, they're just trying to take the Heisman away, if you stop Genty, it helps you win the football game. I mean, so San Diego State just didn't have the athletes. I haven't watched a whole lot of Nevada football, but I have a tough time thinking that Nevada's going to have the athletes to come in and hang with Boise State for 4 quarters. I just don't see it. And so they're going to have to use some schematics. Chillick's going to have to use some schematics to help that out, which I trust Dirk to look at it and go, okay, we're good. We're here we go. So that's what I would do.
And we talked about earlier in the season, and all season, but you're not as a coaching staff, you're just trying to score as many points as you can and win whatever way it happens. If you'd like to give Genty the Heisman, sure, but if it means they're going to put 9 guys in the box and literally he's going to have contact before he gets to the line of scrimmage, like, we'll just throw the ball then, fine. And so and they now have shown they have the ability to go either way. If they need to be pass heavy, run heavy, play action, mix it up like they've now. I mean, it's got to be really tough, as you said, for these defensive coaches to be putting on this film going, what's our best plan here? With that said, I mean, I know Genty's getting his yards, but he's not, the last couple of weeks hasn't had the big 50, 60, 70 yard, highlight run that he was getting earlier in the season. It's taken the 31, 32, 33 carries. And I know, 4.5, whatever. He's still getting decent average, at least in the last game, but not really what it was earlier in the season. I mean, a Fox national TV game. I mean, a lot of hype now with Boise State being number 12 in the rankings. Like this defense, I mean, is this a game where you'd like to see him break off a couple of those and make another statement to kind of push his name back up the Heisman list here?
Oh, yeah, I completely agree with you. But I would also say this. If you really look at football in general, and it trickles down, right? So let's take the National Football League. They don't hit as much in fall camp. So you don't work tackling as much in fall camp. And so as you watch NFL games, the football's better. You tackle better. You block better. Everything's better. So now as you're getting into the thick of the season in college football, players are now tackling in games. So the tackling is getting better where he makes people miss, but now the shoestring tackler, somebody's just gator tackling and taking his legs out. I think you're seeing that because there's more experience now. Guys are tackling more and things like that. So I think that has something to do with Genty. But, I mean, is this the game? I think this is the game he gets back to 220 to 230. I do. I don't – Nevada is just –
well, I'll say
they're 7.
He needs to. Like, if he actually wants to have a real chance to win this Heisman, like the last 3 weeks, his odds are slowly dipping, and there's a little bit of a gap, at least in the betting odds, from those top 3 now, because again, the yards are there, but people look at the yard. Oh, it took him 31 carries, and people look at they're not seeing the Sports Center highlight of him stiff arming and going 70 yards. Like if he really wants to have a legit chance to win this thing, I think he needs to have a monster game on Saturday.
Well, I do too. I think he needs him, and just to help the team. Number one, right? I think a little bit of the Heisman deal is us to talk about. It's the fans to talk about. He hasn't complained one time about how many carries. All he talks about is winning. And I think that's a little bit media, us, fans, Heisman, right? Where I think that he needs the 2 for himself, for the team. and to keep him in it. Because when Genty's getting for over 2, Boise wins, and he's back in the Heisman race. So let's not. I don't. It's 2 for the Heisman, but it's also 2 to win the game, right?
Sure.
So I don't want to separate those two. I think it's important to. It's not an individual thing. I think, O-line wise, I'd like to see them cut down a little penetration on the backside, some things like that I guarantee Keen they've worked on. Actually, I know they've worked on it a lot. And, because I think some people started moving, the line started moving some edge pressure stuff that have really started versus UNLV, that's the little chink in the armor a little bit, but I know they've been working on it. And I think that the O-line will be ready to go. The tight ends are playing really well right now. And the wide receivers, everybody that's wanted the wide receivers to step up, now we're starting to see it. And so Caples, tight ends, more than the one tight end. And so I think we're there. I think they're an overall offense. And then defensively, they've cut down the big plays. The sacks have been huge. That's got to continue. Because I think in order for Genty to get those yards, they're going to have to steal a possession. Right, because when you're not cutting the big one, you need an extra possession. So, also some turnovers would be nice.
You look at the time of possession and things like that, and what Nevada's goal is going to be. They're going to want to come in, use the clock, run the football, and try to condense this game a little bit.
Slow it down, slow the game down. So that means you got to huddle. It's like I personally, if I was that worried about it, I would say, okay, we're going to break the huddle at 12, we're going to snap it at 3. And then if we have a check play on it, we got to break it at 18. We got to get the ball off at 8. So you're going to have 10 seconds to make that call, because remember, if the coach is helping them in the ear, that cuts off. So, there's little games you could play as an offense to slow the game down. Offensively, you want to do that, especially if the other team's a high tempo team, right? Offensively, hey, let's slow the game down. Let's get our defensive break. Okay, and then we'll be good to go. So, you got to slow them down. Does that mean ball possession and things like that? Sure. But I just don't. I just feel it that this is going to be the game that you're going to see him start rallying them off again. I don't know why. I just had that feeling.
I got a couple final ones for you real quick, Brad, but I need to thank 3 more sponsors. The blueandorangestore.com. Check them out, the Blue and Orange Store, online at the blueandorangestore.com. You can go anywhere in the world to order online, or if you're in the Boise area, just go to the Boise Town Square Mall, the second floor there next to Pro Image. Again, great selection, great prices. That clearance rack at the front of the store, you won't find a better deal. And they have all the latest NIL gear as well. So they have like 2 racks just dedicated to Ashton Genty gear at the front of the store. So head on in and check out the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Hopefully this is the game where we can get the Breezy bundle back too, Brad, on Tuesday. It's been a tough season for Breezy Dubar in and out of the lineup, but if he can get back on Saturday and get a touchdown, you can get a hot dog and a soda for $1 at Jackson's on Tuesday, and that is from our friends over at Jackson's. The more likely one, probably, Ahmed Hassanin getting the sack on Monday. You get a 91-cent fountain drink or coffee, and that's using Let's Go rewards from Jackson's when Ahmed Hassanin gets a sack. And don't forget, 25% from every hot dog sold goes to support the Horseshoe Collective at Boise State. Speaking of food, check out Lean Feast, leanfeastmeridian.com. We love Lean Feast. And Brad, you can't tell yet because it's too early. I'm only 2 weeks in or whatever, but I'm down about 8 pounds, and I'm on the descent here. I'm pretty motivated right now, and I'm doing it majorly in part due to Lean Feast. So leanfeastmeridian.com, 10,000 plus healthy meal combinations. And again, it's all customizable. You choose how much of everything you want, and they deliver anywhere in the Treasure Valley as well. So make sure you check out Lean Feast Meridian, leanfeastmeridian.com. And I want to thank Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. Check them out. And again, you can, we want some of those voicemails as well. I want them on the postgame show. I'm not going to have Brad or Rid with me on the postgame show because they're out of town. So I need some of you guys to join in with your thoughts and your comments. Speakpipe.com/BNN. Get a voicemail in for the game tomorrow. We'll get to those on the pregame show. We'll get to those on the postgame show. And again, if you have a voicemail, kind of like calling into a radio show on a postgame show, we can take your comments and we will play those on the show. And that is speakpipe.com/BNN. And that is thanks to our friends at mysignatureroofing.com, mysignatureroofing.com. And again, they just do tremendous work. I've been very happy with our new roof, replacements, repairs, inspections, free estimates. Again, 208-994-8493. You can check them out online at mysignatureroofing.com. And one more quick promo. Ball Talk is tomorrow, 10 a.m. game day edition. 10 a.m. game day edition of Ball Talk tomorrow. We had the basketball game Wednesday night, so they didn't have a show. But Johnny and Mike Sanford will be back on game day at 10 a.m. Mountain Time with a live edition of Ball Talk. All right, Brad, the rankings came out. I mentioned that. They're number 12. They're in a good spot. They just got to keep winning here. It all looks so far in front of them. The path is there. You just got to keep winning, and they're going to get to where they want to get. What is that mindset like as a player, as a coach, where it's so close you can almost taste it? You're big favorites in these games. You should do it, but you got to go out there and do it on the field. And what's that like as a coach, where you should win these games, but you're dealing with college kids here that also know they should win these games, and Boise State's had this going back 20 years where they just should be coasting, and the pressure goes up because you're supposed to win these games so easily. And just what's the mindset of a team like this where, yeah, you got a great chance to do your goals, but you can't lay an egg in any of these games?
One, and this is going to be, God, stupid ass coach speak, but one at a time, right? I mean, that's what the all coaches say, but I'll dig it even a little further. It's leadership. Okay. And it's leadership from the top down. With Spence talking about, hey guys, we got Nevada. Okay. Every game is going to be a reset. Okay. This is the season. This game is the season. Guess what? Next game, it's the season. Okay. To get where they really want to go. Is it the end of the season? No, but to get where they want to go. The other thing is as an assistant, I would be asking the guys in the O-line room and go, hey, what's the talk in the locker room? I want to know that. Because if they're talking about, the playoff's going to be awesome. Oh, the playoff, I would have my leaders to tell them to shut the blank up and go, hey, I want nothing but Nevada in that locker room. And then the next game, I want nothing talked about other than that game. Okay, don't talk about anything else, because if you don't win this game, then the playoff's done. The ranking's out, the playoff's over. So I would dig into that, because you can't be around the kids as the coach all the time, right? And tell the outside noise, don't even pay attention to it. As you're walking to class, we can't wait for the playoff. Just keep walking. Don't listen to it. Stop this. No, stop. This is no more.
Done though?
I'm sorry?
Is that easier said than done?
It is. But I also think if what this program's built on is, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you say you're going to do it, so if we say this is the only thing we're talking about, you do it. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't lie to anybody. They're still kids. I get that. And they want the limelight, and they want the attention. Well, if you really want the attention, you better win this week. If you want more attention, win the next week. If you want more attention as a team, you win the next week. And so I think if they have an understanding of win one at a time, and it's like, here's the rainbow in the pot of gold right here. But if we don't keep coming, that's going to go away. It's just done. So I think it is, but you got to have strong leadership. There's the reasons why the Georgias and the Alabamas and all that is they've always had strong leadership within the locker room. And as coaches, you can't be around them all the time. So you've got to have that guy to step out of the ledge and go, we're not doing this. We're not talking about this playoff. It doesn't matter what they say, who we're playing. You got to have that, or you're not going to be in it. And it just takes a couple of kids to step out on that ledge to be the leader, and people will follow and listen. It's challenging, but I think it can be done.
What about style points too here? Because obviously they're clearly the top group of 5 team. They're clearly in a spot where if they just win out, they're at least getting that 12 seed and getting in. Right. But they were not just placed into the bracket as number 12. They were actually the number 12 team in the country in the rankings. Yep. And you look, that means any team ahead of them loses. There's a chance they could move up to 11, 10, 9. Sure. That's a very realistic thing. And I think the one thing people are looking at is, can you finish ahead of the Big 12 champion and get that number 4 seed and get a bye? So I hate to say it, but we saw in the San Diego State game, they're still running Genty in the fourth quarter. They're running fake punts when they're up, 25, 30 points. Are they now at the point in this, a game like Nevada where you're not sitting Genty at halftime? You're not, sitting back and just letting Tyler Crow run the ball the whole second half. Is there something to it where you're obviously not trying to run it up, in terms of like embarrassing the other team, but those extra touchdowns, those extra defensive stops in the fourth quarter with a minute left in the game, like the final score to this committee, like they're still playing for a lot here. Is that going to come into play at all?
So my theory, a little bit conspiracy theory, is I think style points are going to matter a little bit, because you don't want that magical, like, okay, we should be 9, but somebody kind of jumped ahead of us because Boise, your margin of victory wasn't very good.
Yeah, you only beat Nevada by 10 and you didn't look great.
Right. So we're going to keep you at 12. We're going to let the G5 get in there, and then we're going to put you against. The other thing is this is it's completely conspiracy theory. Okay, it's the home game. What's more attractive, a Boise State going into an Ohio State or a Texas that seats 100,000, or Ohio State or Texas coming into Albertson Stadium? And I'm not taking away from Albertson Stadium, so I don't want to hear that crap. But it's kind of see it in the NCAA bracket, right? We've seen that, and you got to win a little bit. Your margin of victory is going to have to be a little bit bigger, because you don't want to get leapfrogged in when the computer spits it out, because it says, well, why is Boise 12? Well, because they only beat Nevada by 7. They only beat UNLV by this. They only beat Wyoming, who's god-awful, by 10.
San Jose, Oregon State, like there's chances to run the score up here. There's some chances for some ugly, close wins that wouldn't be that impressive.
Yeah, I don't want to say, yeah. I mean, is it run it up? Maybe. But there's a line, right? I don't think you got to win by 40. I think 21, something like that. It's safe. It's safe. And I also think that it's I'm going to talk two sides out of my mouth right now, but Genty and the running the Heisman, people want to watch Boise State play football. Hence the time on tomorrow. Okay, it's a prime time game. Okay, and then we'll see what happens the next game. What is that, Wyoming?
Next week they're at San Jose, and then
at San Jose. Okay, so
yep.
Yeah, so we'll get to that one later. But
I do agree, though, like Robbie says, what's more enticing though for TV ratings? The blue is iconic. Like there would be something cool, because remember the way they do it is there's one Friday night game and then 3 games on Saturday. So the very first Friday night kind of kickoff to the playoff, the first round game, there would be some sort of justice, something pretty cool about this thing if the first game were on the blue, or if there was a home game on the blue. I agree with you. It ain't happening. I mean, there would have to just be so many teams losing. Chaos would have to ensue. But I will say this, like the committee very easily could have had LSU, Texas, some of these teams already ranked ahead of Boise State, some of these 2-loss SEC teams where they could have just said, oh, they're better. And the fact that they didn't, now, could 1 or 2 of them jump them? Maybe. But the fact that Boise State is already ahead of SMU, already ahead of some of these schools, whether it be A&M or whoever, like I said, they were going to be number 12 in the bracket regardless. They could have been 17 in the rankings. The fact that they're already 12, they got some respect from the committee. And with that said, like there is a path. Do I think it's likely? No. Do I think they are either playing a road game as the 11-12 seed? If I had to guess, yes. But there is a path where they could potentially get to 8. I don't think they will. I think 9 is the ceiling if they're not going to get the bye. Because I agree with you. I think just big picture money. I still haven't figured out how all that works. People keep asking me about tickets and money, and I don't know. I would assume the NCAA controls that, but maybe it is just the home team. I have no idea. But yes, 110,000 at Penn State over 37,000 in Boise, Idaho. Like that matters more than some TV ratings that they'll get either way. I understand that, but I will say this: like I do think do I think it happens? No, but do I think there's a easier, more attainable path with them being 12 already than 16? Definitely. And I don't think BYU is going undefeated. I think they could lose to Utah tomorrow. People will laugh, but they could certainly lose to my Jayhawks the following week. Like they're going to lose a game at some point. I don't think they're going undefeated. And I mean, all it takes is BYU losing a game. And what happens if Colorado, they got 2 losses, but if they win out, I think they're going to be in the championship game. They're not going from 20 to pass Boise State at 12. So, no. I think that number 4 seed, and again, in the first year of the playoff, do they want to do it? Do they want to piss off a power team and not give them a bye? Probably not. But if it's an obvious thing, they'll have to. And the way they already have Boise State at 12, and BYU's only at 9, like they've already kind of put that out there that there's certainly a path for Boise State to do that, as likely or not as it is.
No, I agree with you 100% on that. But let's talk about, well, it's two things, right? It's number one, the SEC, the Big Ten, they're gonna eat each other up, right? I mean, there's another big game coming in the championship games, things like that. For them being the blue and iconic, I totally understand that. I agree with you 100%. But let's talk about how Boise State was made. They're made, we're gonna play anybody, anywhere, at any time. Virginia Tech, right? The bowl games, that's something like that. Georgia, things like that. So I think you kind of got to throw that out the window a little bit. The blue being iconic. I understand it. I would love to see a team come into Albertson Stadium, because when they walk in there, those players are gonna be like, God, this place isn't very big. God, this place can't get very loud. This place can't. And all of a sudden they kick it off, and then they're punched in the face in Ohio State or Texas or whoever the heck they would play is going to come in thinking it's a cakewalk, and they're going to get just cold cocked in the mouth. I want it to happen because I want it to happen for the Boise community and the Boise fan base and the university. That's why I want it to happen. But do I think it's going to happen? No. I think you're going on the road. So that's my feeling on the matter.
I agree. I would love to see it happen. Like I said, I think there'd be some cool justice, cool whatever for this new 12-team playoff for the first game. Because if they do get a home game, I guarantee you they'd be the first game on the Friday night to kick it off on the blue. Like, what better way for that first game? I would think. But again, do I think it's happening? No. But like I said, there is a path. The way they have it set up right now, it's at least possible if some of these teams lose. And we'll see. But I guess final thing, Brad, just the game tomorrow, all the CFP hype, Genty. I mean, somebody on here, by the way, said they'd rather take the, what'd they say? They said the Doak Walker and a playoff win would be just fine with them over the, Bronco 130 said, I'm happy with the Doak Walker and a CFP win over the Heisman. But just your final thoughts, this game, this team. Spencer's saying all the right stuff. Obviously, Choate's going to come in fired up. It should be a, national Fox audience. I mean, a lot of reasons, a lot of eyeballs tomorrow, and it should be a fun night at Albertson Stadium.
There's no doubt. I think they're going to come in and Boise will take care of business. I already said it before. I just got that feeling that Genty's going to go off. I think they're going to continue to show improvement in some regards. I think they're going to come in. I wouldn't be surprised if Nevada comes in all hyped up and scores maybe 10 in the first quarter, maybe. I just like where this team's at. I like Spencer's going to say the right things. He's not going to say anything stupid. The players are all in line in all their interviews. Trust me, that's probably being talked about. But I just think they come in and I think they win and they have a dominating win and chalk it off and move on. I don't think Nevada, I told you, doesn't have the athletes. They don't have the offense. Their offense is sputtering a little bit. They can't throw the ball very well. They're 7th in rushing statistics. So I just don't think Nevada's good enough to come in here and pull an upset.
Well, it should be fun, and the whole Jeff Choate thing and bringing him back. There was somebody earlier that joked they should let him raise the blue chaos flag. That's obviously not happening right now, but I think
that would be legendary. You want to talk about Boise State? Talk about the visiting coach coming in and raising the chaos flag.
Jay Tust said he might walk over there and burn it before he, raised it. But
I bet you would.
Yeah, I know. But no, we appreciate you making time, Brad, and have a great weekend. And we'll miss you on the pre and post game shows. We'll be back here in the near future, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Kind of with the basketball schedule the next couple of weeks, I got to figure this out. But I think they play next Tuesday, so we should be good for Wednesday morning. I screwed you on Wednesday. We had to switch up the days, but appreciate you making time today.
No, absolutely, and I think it's cool that Colorado for the women's coming in. And I'm not a big guy who went to Colorado, but I'd like to see them win that game too.
There you go. Yeah, back-to-back sweets. That'll be a Sunday game, and then men's basketball tomorrow, football, a lot going on, and the soccer team's in the Mountain West Championship game tomorrow night as well against Utah State. So
he's done a great job. He's done a phenomenal job. I know
he was obviously there when you were there.
Yes, I know him. I know his son and my son go to East together, and just a great family. And I'm that guy works hard. He's a great guy, and he's been here a long time. And
Yep.
I mean, they're doing great. It's a great spot, and you're a busy man, so I'm glad I just worry about football.
Yeah, it's fun though. It pays the bills, and it's fun to talk about. I'd much rather have this this kind of stuff going on than in the middle of June when I'm trying to figure out what the heck to talk about for.
Yeah, because that's your house on the roofing ad, right? Is that your house?
All right, Brad. Thanks for joining us.
Good talk. Hey, go Boise, go fight, win.
Yes, it's nice to have a wife who makes a lot of money. So my wife does a good job. My wife's the breadwinner of the family. So we nice to have and she's very smart with our finances. I'll say that we're on the Dave Ramsey plan. We've been able to pay off a lot of debt over the years, so we're in an okay place right now. So
me too. I like to keep my debt down as well.
Yes, appreciate you, Brad.
Appreciate it, guys.
Man, we'll talk to you. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Double. See you.
There he is, Brad Bedell. Appreciate him for joining us on Bronco Nation News Live. Again, he was able to switch it around for us, and we appreciate him jumping on. And man, hour and a half show. Looks like hour and 35 minutes. So appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed the Friday show. And I give you this spiel at the end every time, but you just watched an hour and a half free show on YouTube. Thanks to all of our sponsors back here on the screen. Many that are not up there that I need to get added, Taco Bell in particular and Signature Roofing. So if you're able to go support the sponsors, take your family to Taco Bell, go buy some gear at the Blue and Orange store, all of our sponsors, help them out. And again, it would help out too if you go on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever and post a photo too that you are supporting them because of their advertising with BNN. That would certainly help. So go support the sponsors, help us keep these shows free of charge for you guys on YouTube, aside from the occasional YouTube ad that pops up. And if you're able to subscribe to our website, $50 for a full year, BNN 50 deals, the promo code, it gets you $50 for the entire year, and you can join the club and help us out as we got to pay Brad Bedell, we pay Mike Prater, we pay John Mallory. I mean, this stuff's not free. So Jay Tust, so help us out, help us be able to pay those guys and continue to give you these free shows on YouTube if you can. And Mike Prater's writing weekly columns, and I've got stories up, and I got another one on Jeff Choate going up here this afternoon. So a lot of great content on the website. You get a daily email as well and some other exclusive benefits. So again, BNN 50 deals, that promo code, if you can help us out. We got a lot of travel costs coming up here in the near future with the Cayman Islands basketball tournament, maybe a trip to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony, a college football playoff game potentially to travel to. So we could use all the help that we could get. So if you're able to support us, again, just $50 for the full year, one-time fee, or you can do $6.99 a month option as well. But again, the big one is to like this video, share this video, tell your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I mean, so it takes 2 seconds down there at the bottom of the screen to hit that subscribe button. We're over 6,000 subscribers now on YouTube as we continue to push forward. So help us out if you can. Tell your friends, subscribe, go support the sponsors, all the various ways that you can help us out, and we really appreciate that. The plan for tomorrow, 3 o'clock for the pregame show. We will be live at the James Kitchen and Bar at 3 o'clock. And I'll be hosting, but I'm going to have some former Broncos from the previous years that played against Nevada come tell some stories about playing Nevada. The one I can confirm is Kyle Brotzman, the kicker punter. He is going to join us at 3:15. We're hoping that we got some other irons out there in the fire that I'm going to don't want to say too much yet, but some of your favorite Broncos may be stopping by and tell some stories about playing Nevada and the rivalry there and everything else. So again, 3 o'clock tomorrow for the pregame show. But again, before that, 10 a.m. will be Ball Talk. 10 a.m. Ball Talk with Johnny and Sanford. Make sure you make plans for 10 a.m. Ball Talk, 3 o'clock for the pregame show. And then the postgame show is going to be a little different because I've got interviews to do, and then we've got the basketball game going on. So what I'm probably going to do is do the football interviews and then hurry back home here during the end of the basketball game, and then we'll have a joint football basketball postgame show for you after the basketball game ends. So around 11 o'clock is when my target start time. The basketball game should be over about 10:30, and we're going to get Abe Jackson dialed up from San Francisco. We'll talk some hoops. We'll talk some football. We'll have highlights of both. We'll go as late into the night as we need to tomorrow night. So join us on the post-game show. Just know that it'll be a little later than usual because we're going to include the basketball game in that as well. So if you want to come celebrate, hopefully a Mountain West soccer championship, football, basketball, maybe they can win the soccer championship and we can get Jim Thomas to come back in from the celebration for a few minutes as well. That'd be fun to do. So we're going to have fun tomorrow. Again, pregame at 3 o'clock. post game around 11 or so after the basketball game ends. We'll do a joint wrap-up post-game show tomorrow night, so stay tuned, and we appreciate you for that. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks again. Go support the sponsors. Go subscribe if you can. And we appreciate you guys. Again, 10 a.m. tomorrow for Ball Talk. We're excited for that with Johnny and Sanford. And then we'll talk to you live from the James Kitchen and Bar at 3 o'clock on the Lithia Ford of Boise pregame show. Boise State pushing towards that CFP bid, pushing towards a Mountain West championship, but can't afford to lose any games at this point. And they get another opportunity on national TV tomorrow night to try to make a statement, both as a team and for Ashton Genty as well, potentially to have a big game tomorrow night. So appreciate all you guys. Thanks a lot for checking us out. And we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, go subscribe, go support the sponsors, and we'll see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow for Ball Talk and then 3 o'clock for the pregame show. This has been Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by RowPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.